Hello, you. Yes, you. This is Osayome Sale from Ways Primetime. Now, we appreciate your continued support for watching our content, following us across all our social media. But we've noticed, for those of you watching us on YouTube, 88.5% of you who watch our content aren't subscribed to our channel. Why? Now, if you are enjoying our content, you enjoy our shows, and you want to stay updated on all things Ways, it's time to hit that subscribe button below. Now, subscribing isn't just for you. It's for the growth of our channel. It helps us get bigger and better. With your support, we can continue to bring even more intriguing and exciting content. How about you subscribing right now and being a part of our community?
Good morning, Africa, Nigeria, and my very own Lagos. It's with all pleasure I introduce you to the most unique platform you come across, and that is Ways Breakfast, #What Are You Saying? The premier platform for thought-provoking discussions on critical issues shaping Nigeria's future, from politics to governance, leadership, social issues, tech and finances. I'm here, and we're here to talk about everything. Well, I'm your anchor this morning, Okikiola Taiwo Jalukwo, and I'm here alongside my ever beautiful sister. Today, we're here to discuss a critical issue that's affecting Nigeria's economic development, and that is insecurity. We've spoken about this over and over and over again, just passively, but we're bringing this topic to your table. Unfortunately, insecurity has become a recurring theme in many parts of our country, and its impact is felt across various sectors. Just recently in Plateau State, we witnessed attacks on communities, resulting in loss of lives and displacement of people. Similarly, in Zamfara State, banditry has become a major concern, with reports of kidnapping and cattle rustling. These incidents not only cause harm to individuals, but also have far-reaching consequences for our economy. And how convenient is that, and what's the way forward? If you want to follow this conversation and all other discussions, tune in every Monday morning to Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. at Official Upgrade TV. Well, opening the gates of heaven, I present to your screen my best girl, God's Beauty Israel. Good morning, girl.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm blissful, I'm grateful, and every
We are
weekend in between.
blessed. We are grateful.
How are you?
was your weekend?
It was fabulous. It was interesting. It was
I think
wonderful.
my weekend was fabulous and interesting too.
I like that.
How was you, or did you commute to work this morning?
Yes, I did.
How was it?
There's a lot happening. I mean, given that it's Lagos, right? Traffic here and there, even to get bus is crazy, so I can understand. But yeah, that's literally how my morning looks like.
One of the many blessings that I've had, like in the last, let me say 3 weeks, is that there's somebody that moves from my bus stop to the bus stop of work.
Okay.
So although sometimes it's like, no, I'm not going, or my car is bad, but for the few times that this person have showed up and then brought me to work, this is something that I'm extremely grateful for. I used to, every morning was a struggle for me before, but this one I'm very, very, very grateful for. And I hope he stays alive and the car stays fine so that he can keep being a nice person to me.
Right.
Well, I hope your own morning also started on a great note, as we both did. If you want to follow us on our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV, please click that subscribe button now, like and share the link. Our social media handles are showing right now on the screen. You can also tune into channel 145 on your Go TV and do not miss this. We'll go on a break right now. When we return, we'll take you through the top stories across the globe. Please stay logged in. Well, sure, glad to have you back from that break. Now, let us take a look at news from the pages of today's newspaper. Today, we'll highlight the top stories from The Punch, the Nigerian Tribune, and, of course, the international newspaper. Starting off, as usual, with the international news.
All right, straight into the international newspaper. I'll be taking you through the the New York Times today, sorry. All right, top right of the newspaper, we have Trump curtails legal tool that enforces civil rights. At the center, we have plight of Pope's Chicago parish as familiar Catholic lament. Then mid-right column, we have United States and Europe and trade battle, play game of chicken and beef. That's actually very funny. But next to that, we have at the left column on easy truce between India and Pakistan. And the last headline on the newspaper, that's at the bottom left, we have in life, her students couldn't forget her, and in that, she remembered them too. So I'll be taking two headlines, right? The first one is on easy truce between India and Pakistan. So it's to really give more updates about what's going on there. If you remember the last time, it was as if they're about to start a war. But right now, it's looking like there's peace and calm, even though we don't know for how long it would be. But let me take you on the detail one. It says, India and Pakistan, two neighboring countries with a long history of conflict, are currently experiencing a period of relative peace. Amen to that. Both India and Pakistan have nuclear weapons, all right? If their conflict escalates, it could lead to a dangerous situation, not just for them, but for the entire world. Maintaining peace between them is crucial to avoid a potential crisis. Then although they are not fighting right now, the issues that cause tensions are still there. Problems like border disputes and political rivalry could easily flare up again. There's a risk that the current peace might not last, and any small incident could trigger another conflict. And from the last conversation we had, if you remember, it was stated there that the Prime Minister of Pakistan has already vowed that, the death of the people that, that happened in Pakistan would, of course, would definitely not go in vain. So we don't know if there's already a plan, and it's just waiting for the right time to start off. I really don't know what it is exactly, but I just hope that this peace that they're having right now just remains. It's not like they've had a conversation, no. But it's more like everybody's on their own path and probably they're just thinking to re-strategize or something. I don't know what it is exactly. But I just hope that
if they are cocking new guns,
do you understand?
I think that the reason why they call it peace, sometimes I think their version of peace is just because of silence, not necessarily the fact that they are restoring peace in that sense. And that's just to show how peace can mean a lot of things to a lot of people based on their experiences. So just maybe none of my close family member has died. Maybe they have not bombed somewhere. So you can tag that as peace. But some people will also tag peace as since they bomb me, I never rest.
Well, honestly speaking, I just hope that they probably have a conversation and it just reduced from there. But I just saw the headline, like I said, I want to take, which is the United States and Europe in trade battle between game of chicken and beef. Imagine we are two countries, to a continent, and a country is having a conversation about who will buy beef and who will not. Just imagine that. I feel like that's actually very funny. But let me take you on the detail. And it says the United States and Europe are arguing about beef trade. The United States wants Europe to buy, that's European Union now in quote, right? It wants to buy more American beef, but Europe is not agreeing. This disagreement has turned into a sort of standoff where neither side wants to give in. Both the United States and Europe are big players in the global trade. If they keep fighting over beef, it could hurt businesses and economies in both sides. Now, tariff or restrictions could make beef more expensive or harder to sell. Now, because neither side wants to compromise, the issue could escalate. If the situation worsens, it could lead to more economic problems for farmers, food businesses, and even consumers who might face higher prices. So I feel like we already know how the European Union feel about the United States, given the whole trade war and all. Even though the United States currently are in peace with the UK, but you know how whatever the UK has to say has nothing to do with the European Union, given that they're not even together, they're no longer in that union again, right? I think that's 2020 or so. So right now, the fact that they're having this fight between, a beef trade, it's, I don't know. I really don't know what to make of it, but of course that's what I'm bringing to the table. What do you think about this?
To call it a pun, they're having a beef.
Don't understand.
So whatever it is that is happening, beef might win, chicken might win. Let's see who wins best. But it shows how much simple things can affect the economy in general. We're now talking about businesses, we're talking about farmers, we're talking about so many stakeholders in this case, where it's just the policy down that's going to determine how far or how well they are going to sell. But I usually don't really like to delve too much into the international news because some way, somehow, they just always find a way to figure it out. That's Americans or European Unions figuring out what European Unions should figure out. And this is me coming back to Nigeria to figure out what Nigerians need to figure out. And I'm starting off with the Punch newspaper. And the headline here reads, Rivers Emergency Rule, Federal Government taps ex-AGF 11 sons as Supreme Court battle looms. Supreme Court may release hearing date today. PDP governors' legal team prepares as AGF says governors forum lacks locus standi. We have another story here that reads NCAA on the fire after plane strikes antelope on taxiway. Ayedatiwa Makinde Bamidele salute Afenifere leader Fasoranti at 99. We also have federal government states had 57 trillion naira to debt in 18 months. PDP installs new BOT members as governors map party direction. Federal government makes U-turn, endorses Senate Security Summit. And patience, after thousands of years, he's here saying why Jonathan would run against Tinubu in 2027. The last story here reads, I'm not desperate to return as Rivers governor, says Fubara. Before, we'll just wrap up this conversation while I also take the Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune has similar stories. Saying that Wike, Ikpeazu, Ugunwa in autumn attend PNP governors meeting. Saraki, Tamboa, Lamido, Onilola, Udom also in attendance. We also have another story here that reads, I am not going back to Aso Rock. We'll campaign with Remi Tinubu in 2027, says Patience Jonathan. And I don't know, a lot of people have been giving different views on Patience now coming to say that she's on the side of Remi Tinubu and Tinubu, and this is not a party thing because we know that Jonathan came from the PDP. It's not like even former presidents or former presidents' wives are now decamping, they're now cross-carpeting in that sense. And Obi here is saying that how Nigeria can become beacon of hope for Africa, blames setback on incompetent, uncommitted leadership. And I just feel like you know those times where you used to do this, what would I call it, when governor for a day, all those president for a day, when they used to do that debate growing up. I feel like they should just do this president for a day and just put Obi there and let's just hear some of the things that he wants to put in place and hear his policy, not as a commentator, but now as a president who has probably seen a lot of documents and a lot of debts and a lot of things before we will now know if at all.
I feel like you just took it out of my mouth. I think at this point, we should probably just look for how Obi should be on that seat. Let's see the miracle that he wants to do, because it's not enough to come and start telling us this happened, this president did this. I think at this point, let's just put him there and let's see what happens. Honestly speaking, I can't wait. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do, but he should be there.
Peter Obi shade, right? As the governor of Anambra, there were a lot of things that surrounded his campaign in 2023, where in all of the news I saw, there was not one specific thing that was brought out that he did in Anambra that turned Anambra around from 0 to 100, right? So my take back is that we all talk about experiences. They will also fault Tinubu that he says that he turned Lagos from 0 to 100, but Lagos is smelly, Lagos is this, Lagos is that, allegedly that this and this and this has happened. But we have been able to see GDP. We can say that GDP went from this to this one went from this to this. So sometimes evidence is what sets you apart from a lot of things. So please, maybe government officials, people who want to campaign, should now be more evidence-based than, you know, commentators and policymakers. But this is all we have on today's newspaper. I hope you learned a thing or two, or if any of the story interests you, you can go to their official page. You can still stay around. You must stay around because the topic is coming after this break. So we'll go on a quick break right now. When we return, we'll come back with our expert guest and the hot topic for today. Please stay with us. I describe myself as a polyhumanitarian, someone who believes politics should be rooted in love for country and empathy for its people. I'm thrilled to introduce to you Politics Uncensored, a show dedicated to tackling the political challenges that matter most to Nigerians. This is more than just a show. It's a space for honest, unfiltered conversations about the issues that shape our nation. From policy reforms to elections, leadership tussles to governance at all levels, and the overall political landscape in Nigeria. We will dive deep into how politics is impacting our everyday lives. So join me on this journey as we challenge the status quo, spark dialogue, and work together to build a brighter future for Nigeria. Let's make our voices heard and drive the change we deserve. Welcome back to the show. I know that you just saw me. You just saw me there, right? You just saw me there, right? Anyways, as mentioned earlier today, we're discussing the impact of insecurity on economic development. Insecurity has significantly impacted Nigeria's economic development, affecting various aspects of the country's growth and stability. From hindered business activities, insecurity has hampered business operations, discouraging investment and stifling economic growth. This is particularly true for foreign direct investment, which is crucial for Nigeria's economic development. We've also had the increase and rise of loss of lives and properties. The rise of terrorist groups like Boko Haram, kidnappers and armed militia has led to loss of lives, displacement of people and destruction of critical infrastructure. It has also led to economic destabilization. Insecurity has resulted in economic instability, with the country's GDP's growth rate and per capita income being negatively affected. Reduced government revenue has also been deeply affected, where the situation of insecurity has also reduced government revenue as business struggle to operate and tax collection is affected. On the other hand, the government has had to increase expenditure on security, which could have been channeled to other critical sectors like education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Overall, addressing insecurity is crucial for Nigeria's economic development and growth. By adopting a multifaceted approach, the country can mitigate the effects of insecurity and create a more stable environment for businesses to thrive. Today, we'll be exploring the effects of insecurity on our economy and discussing the potential solutions to addressing these challenges. Joining us virtually is Emmanuel Ikule, who is a seasoned security expert, human rights advocate, and an outspoken advocate for policy reforms and development. Welcome, Emmanuel. Do I have you here?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. So great to have you here.
Same here.
So we're talking about the insecurity issues in Nigeria, and I think that from the past week, we've had back-to-back insecurity issues, loss of lives, loss of properties, farmland, a lot of things have, been lost just from one single problem, which is insecurity. But how do you think that most people think that insecurity is not like the most pressing issue in Nigeria right now? They feel like it's other things. But what's your view on insecurity, and how do you think that this should be taken as the topmost priority for the Nigerian government right now?
Insecurity, for me, it's actually the bane of development. In places where there's insecurity, there's hardly development because it affects a lot of things. Just like you have said with the review, it affects life and It leads to loss of pioneer investors, business owners. It leads to loss of maybe even injuries to maybe breadwinners that also affect their input or their contribution towards providing or actually doing what they are supposed to do, and in turn, it affects other persons. For example, places like Benue State that are maybe mostly maybe farmers, if it affects the farmers themselves, it affects retailers, it affects consumers, and by extension, it also leads to hike in prices of these even food crops. How about the health sector? They also suffer because if persons are injured from the farm, they need to be treated. And to a large extent, some of these injuries are things that maybe those even in the health sector have not, certain cases they have not attended to. Persons being injured for months and without any form of treatment or first aid to such wounds, and then you have to treat it afresh. Persons that need amputation and all that. So it takes a lot. At the same time, government themselves, you start looking at more high or more rate of people trying to relocate to other locations. That means instead of working where they are and such governments being able to take care of their own, they leave such places to go and to other states. And those states now, there may be cases of overcrowding and all that. And in going to a new state, if there's also no means of livelihood, that means there may be increasing even insecurity more, because these persons will go to a new place and will certainly want to settle down. And this may also lead to them maybe trying their hands on things that may not be good or criminal activities for them to settle down. So from one issue, it may lead to divergent issues that indirectly affect foreign investors from coming to invest in such an area. It also affects, because if foreign investors invest, there may be need for expansion of businesses, and that is more employment for people. But in the absence of that, it makes, it affects the economy of such a place. It affects money circulation that by extension also improves the economy of such a place. So a lot happens when there's insecurity in a particular place. And that is why it's very pertinent that the government pays attention to handling cases of insecurity. Is the primary thing. The absence, any country or any state that does not have insecurity, there is more tendency for development. But then when there's fighting here and there, how can you go and build a business in the first place? How can you even invest? How can you even come to such a place to invest in the first place? Then there's also maybe the high cost of living. How can you even be able to fend for your families? These issues are there, and I think it's something that the government needs to pay very critical attention to it.
All right, thank you so much, Emmanuel. So checking through your bio, it was stated that you are a security expert, and that's why I'll be asking this question. And why is insecurity still persisting, even with the increase of, funding? I mean, just this year, right, it's stated, report has it from the federal budget that about 4.91 trillion naira was allocated. But still yet, it's not looking like we're able to take care of insecurity here in Nigeria. So as a security expert, why do you think insecurity is still persisting, even with the increased funding?
The first thing I would say is lack of political will. And you also try to pay attention to maybe what was the agreement. This is a question or thing, something that people have not been paying attention to. But you also be looking at, is it that there was an agreement between the military and the handing over to civilian leadership that whatever we do with money, it's not your concern. That is why they are not being audited to monies that are being given to them. You also be looking at, why is it that even when they fail, they are being given ambassadorial positions without being queried or punished or given life imprisonment like other countries do, for failure to account for monies given to you and for failure for you to be able to carry out your duties diligently. These are issues that have been there over time in Nigeria. Because if you are giving trillions, and before the trillions that you've said, the last administration came out that they got about 38 fighter jets and ordered about 36 fighter jets. So if you look at that number, it's about 70 something already. You are even looking at about 400 plus boats to the navies. You are looking at about 700 motorable vehicles and all that for combat for the military. Outside these budgetary allocations are being given yearly. And it's also the budgetary allocation only that is not being touched or reduced. The way it's being submitted is the way it's been approved. So if we're not seeing it, it's a question of political will, one, inability to hold those service chiefs accountable, because if you are giving somebody position, it should be based on competence. And if it's not based on favoritism or tribalism or maybe cronies, then you'll be giving them ultimatum, okay, we have this issue in a particular place, go and fix it. We have military personnel from this country going to other locations on peace building and addressing concern within a short period of time. How is it that a familiar terrain like ours, they have not been able to address this concern? So it shows that they have a hand in it. Already, our former late president, Sani Abacha, already said this, that if insecurity persists after a period of time, it means those in government have a hand in it. And it's actually showing. I'll give an example to this. If you look at the interview of somebody that was allegedly termed a criminal, Ghana, in Benue State, that actually was murdered by the military. During his interview in channels, he actually